Twilight Zone Toung Logo Mk, scene 1. G'day fellas. So I've been working on the next version of our pump, which will be, I'm calling it the Twilight Zone, but it will fit basically your old vintage Omni zones and stuff like that. I just thought I'd make this video because I've printed my first test print, and yeah, I've discovered a big error. Here's what I've printed out. These are old ones from last week. The old silicone mold I made years ago. The prototype that I made as a shell. Last week's Mk 1 for the pump. And last week's Mk 2, which is now up on the website. And I just wanted to compare this one with this one, because I discovered something in my references that I've messed up. So it's measurements. This pump ball looks way too big. So it's 39-ish. And here's my old Omni zones, which are absolutely terrible for taking measurements off, but the more points we can get, and it's approximately, it's you know, for what I'm measuring, that's the same. It's a bit hard to tell. You could probably put that ball in there, you wouldn't tell. Now let's look at the newest one I've got on hand, which is made in Vietnam. And this is the new vertical, above the rim vertical, and it's gone back to a smaller pump, which honestly I like. So let's set our measurement on that and see where they get this measurement from. Now, this old mold is here because it's standing in for my dual chambers, because this is a copy. So the dual chambers original pump ball is actually a fraction smaller than the new ones. My pump ball for the pump bringbacks is basically the same as the new ones. But yeah, so we've got this massive ball for the Twilight zones. So the for the, what are these? The Omni zones. So the Omni zones, as far as I'm concerned, these are bringbacks, they're not originals. This is probably incorrect, so I'm going to adjust this one. Now, is the new one more correct? The ball's probably more correct, yes, but the rest looks very big. So let's take a different measurement. Let's measure our top line. And again, this is a rough measurement. Measuring a curve like this, where do you start? Just going to go sort of halfway around the curve. So it's about 8 centimeters. So how's that compare? Again, this is going to be a shocking measurement because, yeah, distortion. But that seems about the same. Shocking measurement. But let's go back to what all those shoes were originally based off, which is the original Twilight Zone. What did it have? Okay, its top line. Wow, what a difference. Can you see that? So the top line originally of the pump logo was a lot smaller and neater and tighter. And now we've got these big sloppy things. So if I'm making my molds for repairs in mind, I kind of need to blend both of these and come up with a happy medium between the two. Now the next thing I'm noticing is the logo. So we've got the actual pump word, which are basically the same in the vintage and the new ones. But this looks a lot more open than this one. Even though these are the same, they look different. And that's the thing I'm trying to duplicate. I also prefer this, just the pump word with the arch and the just as the, I think this looks too busy. So what do? I think we'll have a look at what I've already done. So I didn't compare the top line of my new one. So the top line of my new one matches, or at least should match, fairly functionally, if not exactly, with your Chinese made, I think they're made in China, the Chinese made bringbacks, if that makes sense. Rah rah rah. So yeah. But the big thing that I've actually discovered is in my model, my reference, which was a photo of the twilight zone, is actually a little big. It's out by about 0.5 millimeter. Because when I printed this one off, I couldn't understand why it looks even bigger than the first mistake with the Mark 1, which should have corrected for that. And I know that I have corrected because the top line matches, the bottom line matches, and everything else is working pretty well. So I need to redo the actual ball and the pump logo, which is the most frustrating thing to actually 3D model. But yeah, discovering that reference was 0.5 mil out hopefully will constrain it. And I think what I'll do is I'm just going to have to rebuild this whole geometry and just make it smaller so that it'll look more like that. But balancing that, I want to avoid what the new ones have done, which is they've basically created a tiny pump ball on a giant plate, which, I don't know, it's okay, it's not bad. The material's a little soft, so it wraps around and sort of looks a lot narrower than it is. But yeah, I am a bit of a sucker for the originals, which are a lot firmer and stiffer and just meatier, even though they're smaller. I don't know, I think it's character. But yeah, I think I'll just redesign this one and I'll put this up for people with, because there will be lots of people that this will be this is happening to with these models. This is a good example of what Reebok was making out of China, which is probably not going to be an ongoing problem for them, hopefully. This new manufacturing in Vietnam is completely retooled, so hopefully they're using better compounds and less cheap rubbish. I mean, the Chinese have got a really bad reputation, as far as I'm concerned, of just being sneaky buggers, and just sure, we put the top quality stuff in, and they sprinkle a bit of good stuff on the top and it's all rubbish underneath. So yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. Get that up and going soon. Anyway, take it easy, fellas.